In this video, it's an all Universal video. We were talking about that Super Nintendo World Epic Universe announcement video that came out today. We're going to watch it, break it down, talk about it along the way. We're also going to break down all these announcements from Universal Orlando with the Lagoon Show, all that, a ton of new parade, all kinds of stuff. We're going to break that down as well. I got Slime Crime Yeezy. I got Mr. Seymour Duck and Mr. Webba in the house with me today on this episode of Orange Grove 5055. Welcome to another episode of OG 55. It's an all Universal show. Universal has been bringing it with the announcements lately. Oh my gosh, we got so much to dive into. Crazy few days coming out of Universal. But before we do, I want to introduce my fantastic panel. We got our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the one, the only Mr. Michael Webba in the house. Mr. Webba, how you doing, man?
OG, thank you so much for having me on. And this was cool too. It's been a while since I've been on a panel with all four of you guys. OG, Slime Crime, and Mr. Seymour Duck. Quack quack. No, it's awesome being here with you guys today. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this video.
Absolutely. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Of course, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at WebSlinger760, Mr. Webba. And then you can also find me here on OG 55.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And check out Webba. He's actually in the process of a rebranding, and he's got a lot of great, like his Twitter profile pic and everything. It's all sparkling, brand new, really good stuff over there. So make sure you check him out on Twitter and give him all the love. And here we go. I'll chime you in, Mr. Webba. There we go. And right over here, we got Mr. Slime Crime Yeezy. Welcome back, Slimer.
OG Mafia, thanks for having me back, man. It's a pleasure to be with you guys.
Absolutely. If you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, you guys can find me on X at SlimeSquare84, and you can find me right here on Orange Grove 55.
There he is. Look at Yeezy making it look easy. There we go. There we go. And Mr. Seymour Duck, last but certainly not least, Seymour Duck, loving the new profile picture.
Thank you.
Very, very cool stuff. Seymour, welcome back, brother.
Glad to be here and glad to, nerd out with you guys.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. If you could let everybody home know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, you can find me on X at Mr. Seymour Duck, but I'm not the snake. I'm the duck.
Exactly.
Don't get confused between the two.
I'm telling you, Elon, you got to clean up those bots. If you actually type in Orange Grove 55, I got a bunch of those bots too. Just like random accounts, like weird profile pics. X has been a mess lately with that stuff, and they got to get that under control. They really, really do. But I don't want to digress too much. But gentlemen, let's go ahead and dive into our festivities today, our topics at hand. So this is actually from the official Universal account, Universal Orlando Resort. I'm going to go ahead and smash that like button. There you go. You're welcome, Universal. We're gonna play this video. This is actually from today. They've been doing this with the lands. We did the Isle of Burke one, and they did the Celestial Park one. I believe this is the third one out the gate, if I'm not mistaken. So we're gonna play the video, and as we always do here on OG 55, gentlemen, if there's a point in the video where you want to stop and talk about it, or you have something to say about a certain part of the video, just say, hey, OG, and I'll pause it and go from there. Here we go.
Universal Epic Universe will be the fourth theme park at Universal Orlando Resort and will transport you to 5 immersive worlds filled with thrills and excitement. In Super Nintendo World, you'll jump into the action and discover a new way to play.
When we started planning Epic Universe, we really wanted to create iconic worlds that deeply connect with fans.
I'm a lifelong fan of Nintendo and grown up with these characters. I still remember opening up my NES system in 85 or 86.
It doesn't matter how old you are. Everyone knows the Nintendo brand.
Now, I wanted to touch upon that because, Seymour, you've mentioned this before. Nintendo has expressed interest in having Mario become the next Mickey Mouse.
Yep.
And it's interesting that, you know, what they're saying is absolutely correct. Everyone knows the Nintendo brand, whether you're, you know, 6 years old or 65 years old, you know what Nintendo is. And it's very similar to Disney in a lot of ways, right? But what are your thoughts on that, Seymour? I know you touched upon it before, but
it's an iconic IP. It's multi-generational. Everyone knows Nintendo and knows Mario, from the catchphrases to the iconic theme songs. Everyone just knows Mario. It is our generation's Mickey Mouse. Some people say. I think so, but some people disagree with me. But you don't see Mickey Mouse in the spotlight as much anymore. You see Mario so much. And with Universal, it is their biggest moneymaker right now for their parks. So it's working. Mario is working. The IP is iconic in Japan and in the US.
Yeah, exactly. And whether one is ahead of the other or not, just to even be in that conversation where you're basically you're in competition with Mickey Mouse. That's crazy good. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, Nintendo is a hugely successful brand. I'm older. I'm in my early 40s. And so I grew up on like the 8-bit Nintendo. And as I got older, got into like the Super Nintendo and the N64. That was when I was into gaming and stuff. But Nintendo, especially a kid growing up in the 80s, was such a huge part of my life. You know, that was what we did as kids, you know. Slimer, I know you're kind of in and around my age. Was that kind of your experience too with the Nintendo?
Oh yeah, back in the 1980s and the 1990s, Nintendo as a brand was a huge deal. It permeated pop culture in a lot of ways that I don't think people now can even relate to, because everything now is so fast, and you know, we move from one pop culture icon to the next in a matter of, you know, a couple of years. But you know, Nintendo is an IP that has withstood the test of time, Super Mario specifically, and you know, it's just good, well-rounded, all-around family fun. You know, it's something they can lean on, not just for, you know, the next 10 years, but probably for the next 20 or 30 without having to look for that next big thing, because it's so time tested. The other thing too is when it comes to Nintendo and all of its ancillary revenue, I mean, you're probably looking at a $40+ billion franchise globally. And so, you know, the dollars really back up the fact that it's still more popular than ever.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they make, you know, Mario and Luigi and all their friends the new, you know, Donald Daffy, or not Donald Daffy, but Donald Goofy, Mickey, Minnie, right? So it's a good move. It's a good move, and it's something that Nintendo has been, or not Nintendo, but Universal Studios has been lacking. They've never had that capstone IP character to really anchor, you know, the parks down, and now they do.
Yeah, no, well said, Slimer. And I would even argue, and people might disagree with me, but I would even argue this was a smarter move by Universal to bring on Nintendo than it was even Harry Potter. And as successful as Harry Potter is and continues to be, it's a very one-trick pony kind of franchise. You know what I'm saying? There's only so much you can do with that wizarding world, so to speak. Nintendo is really, it's the diversity in the IP within that Nintendo brand is like endless. But everything from Super Mario to Metroid to Zelda to Pokemon, Kid Icarus, whatever you want, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? There's so much variety. You could probably build a park or even 2 parks, or, you know, it's endless with this brand. So really, really smart move. And I actually think it was even smarter than bringing on Harry Potter. Not that bringing on Harry Potter wasn't a smart idea. Obviously it was, but Nintendo is, I think, even more lucrative. What do you think, Mr. Webb? I know you are a gamer, so.
Yeah. So like, you know, everybody else, you know, my first console was the, you know, the Nintendo Entertainment System, and I do think to your point, OG, it was smart for Universal to bring on Nintendo, because, you know, like what Mr. Duck was saying was that, you know, the IP, you know, the brand recognition, it's there. You know, it's a very family-friendly IP, and that's something that Universal really needs in their parks. And I would go on personally to say that Nintendo is like the Disney for video games.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, they have, you know, great characters, great stories, you know, fun games, you know, and then they have also very good music for a lot of their IPs, right? Legend of Zelda, Mario, Star Fox, you know, Metroid, you know, all these songs, their musical pieces are very good, you know, always high quality, you know, which from Disney we're also used to as well, right? Very high quality products. And I think it was very smart for Universal to have Nintendo. I think it's great. You know, it gives Disney that kind of family-friendly competition there in terms of the IPs, right? And now if we can see more of this in their park, like for like, you know, a Legend of Zelda like area, or I love Star Fox, so I want to see a Star Fox like space area. That'd be so cool. You know, or even like a Metroid theme with like a shooting attraction or something like that. That's or whatever. I think that'd be really dope. And then, of course, yeah, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, you know, Mario Party. Oh hell, you even have Mario Golf, right? So I mean, like, so I mean, but you have all these awesome games from Nintendo, and yeah, I think that's really exciting. I'm glad that, you know, Orlando is going to be getting the Donkey Kong area.
Yeah, absolutely. And they dive into that in this video. It's pretty crazy.
We all have our favorite games. We all have our favorite characters. We're the fans. And so our primary goal was to make sure, not just for us, but for the guests, this was the ultimate Nintendo experience.
You'll enter Super Nintendo World through the iconic green pipe. And once inside, you'll discover the most elaborate, interactive world we've ever created, featuring Super Mario Land and Donkey Kong Country.
When you come out on the second level of Super Nintendo World with that vista, there's just not another view like it.
You have Mount Beanpole right in front of you. You have all these colorful blocks, all the characters moving around. This world is alive around you.
Now, Ebba, you and I recently have been to Universal, right? With the Italiano and with you know, Theme Park Wizard and what have you. What are your thoughts overall now that you've experienced Nintendo World? Now, for the audience, our California version doesn't have Donkey Kong in it, so our opinions on this is only based on Mario Kart and the Mario section. But what were your overall thoughts?
Well, also ours doesn't have the Yoshi ride either.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? So we really only have one attraction. We have what was it? A Toad's Cafe, right?
Toad's Cafe, yeah. Toadstool Cafe.
A Toadstool Cafe. And then we have the shop that's there and some other like game areas. Here's the thing. I like that we have it, right? I mean, obviously, I'm not going to complain about a new addition to the park, right? Which I think Universal California desperately needs. But it's like I said, it's smaller than Toontown, right? It's a very cramped space. I don't like the box look, and I will always complain about that. I don't like how it's just a square looking. Even when you're up on like the escalators, you can see the box, like kind of the boxiness of the land. Now aesthetically, the colors, you know, the way it looks like straight from the video game, I love how it looks, right? It's freaking cool. You know, my wife, who's also with us, really loved it too. She's like, this is so cool, you know, and then we saw Toad and Mario and Luigi. That was freaking awesome, right? But I do wish that our version here, they would have waited to have more to build on before they made this over here.
That's fair. That's fair. I really enjoy the land. I think it's really cute. Mario Kart, I actually have a lot of fun with that ride. I was actually very critical of Mario Kart before it opened because I thought it was a weird idea not to have a Mario Kart ride. I think having a Mario Kart ride is actually brilliant. My issue was more like, okay, we were hearing stuff like it's going to be a slow moving ride, right? I'm like, well, how do you do that though, right? How do you have a slow moving racing ride? Is that going to work? For me, it actually worked. I think it actually, the illusion of speed is there, especially with the Rainbow Road. You know, you feel like you're moving fast. For me, it was good. I was fine with it. But yeah, I think that fans and maybe even Universal themselves kind of overhyped it, at least from what we've experienced in terms of it being like this groundbreaking, revolutionary thing. I don't see that necessarily, but it's a very solid land, a very fun land. And if you're a Nintendo fan, you're absolutely going to adore it. You know?
Right. Well, here's the thing, like that. If we got what Florida was getting, right, you know, the Mario Kart ride, the Yoshi ride, and then we're getting like the Donkey Kong area, I would have been said, this is a great freaking addition, right? But we just got this one little land, one attraction, and it's very exciting. It's very cramped. I love how it looks.
Yeah.
I do find the Mario Kart ride, you know, I like it. But I wish we had more for the California. Now for this, you know, if I go over here and check this out, I know I'm going to like this way more than what we have over here, right? So that's the thing, is that, you know, I have to think about, okay, what do we have here, what I experience here versus what Florida's going to get, right?
Exactly. We only probably experience, would you say, maybe 75, 80% of the experience because we don't have Yoshi or Donkey Kong. So I think when you add those other elements into the equation,
Right.
your opinion might change, and it probably
Oh yeah.
will,
Oh,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
100%.
World invites you to just come in and play.
It's just about fun, man. It's all about fun.
One of the features of Super Nintendo World is the power-up band.
It allows you to play the games. It allows you to keep score.
You can collect coins by punching blocks. You can find hidden elements throughout the land.
You can see how you're doing compared to other guests in the park.
There's so many places to look and to be engaged. You just get engulfed in it, and then you're like, okay, so what's the first thing you want to do?
If we were going to do anything with Nintendo, there were a handful of things that we had to touch on, and Mario Kart was one of them. Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge is Bowser challenging Mario in a winner-take-all race, and you, as the guest, get to join them on this race through courses all selected from the Mario Kart gaming world.
This ride is extremely innovative.
We use augmented reality technology to bring this race to life in such a fun, visceral way.
You can look at the characters, they look at you, you can throw shells at characters and change the outcome of the race.
You can see all the beautiful scenery, and you also get the gameplay that's going on the image. It melds that game world into that real world.
Everything in this world is designed to fully immerse you. The sights, the sounds, the food, the attractions.
I love Yoshi. We couldn't do anything without bringing him along.
Yoshi's Adventure is...
This is actually pretty cool. And like Webbo was saying, we don't have this in California, but this kind of reminds me of like the People Mover, one of those chill attractions that you can just get on, especially for like a chicken like me. This is a perfect attraction. It really is. What do you think, Webbo? Sorry.
What I would say, what I love too is how they incorporated like every color of the Yoshi like kind of species, I guess, right? You got the green, the orange, the pink, the blue, you know, because Yoshi's, you know, there's multiple of them, right? I mean, even from the game, you know, Yoshi's Story from Nintendo 64, you even have you had a black Yoshi, a white Yoshi, a green, a red, a blue, a purple, right? So you have all these different color Yoshis, you know, like even the one right in the center, you got the sky blue one. So yeah, I really like that. I think it's cool. It's a nice little kind of slow ride for all of the families, right? It's really nice.
Yeah, exactly. And Universal needs these kind of rides because Universal does kind of skew a little bit on the more thrilling side with a lot of their stuff. So this is a good addition. What do you think, Seymour? I know you're a huge Nintendo guy. Are you would you be interested in something like this in terms of the attraction?
It's a nice, relaxing ride, and you can just take pictures of the scenery. Like that's like the perfect time, I think, to take pictures of all the Mario.
Absolutely, absolutely. What are your thoughts, Slimer?
The photo opportunity aspect of it's really cool. Me personally, I'm not really interested in rides like this, to be honest with you. I'd probably ride it once to say I rode it, but this isn't something for me that I'm going to go back to again and again, except for maybe some really cool, some really cool photo opportunities. But it's nice. I mean, it's nice for the kids. You got to have a variety in a land like this, and if you don't, then what happens is that the land gets locked into a certain demographic or a certain age group, and you know that's like the worst thing to happen to a land. I mean, you can arguably say that is what's the case with Galaxy's Edge, right? Because you have Rise of the Resistance, which is a little bit more of an intense ride, and then you have Smuggler's Run, which isn't an intense ride per se, but like you have to have like a certain level of motor skills to actually do it well. And then if you don't, then you get people complaining about little kids being on the ride.
Right.
Shots fired.
Yeah, which I don't necessarily agree with because, you know, it's a ride and people can do whatever the hell they want on it, you know. Have fun on the ride however you want, as long as you're not getting naked and riding It's a Small World. You know?
Exactly.
Well, you know, Slimer, to your point. Sorry, OG. Slimer, to your point, right? The great thing about what they're going to open up here with Super Nintendo World, because they have Donkey Kong, they're going to have the Mario Kart ride, right? Which is your kind of family, your family-friendly kind of AR kind of dark ride shooter ride, right? And then you got this nice other slow Yoshi ride, right? And then you'll have the minecart Donkey Kong ride, which is a coaster. So then you have that thrill aspect for some thrill seekers, right? Yeah. You know, so I think you have that nice combination of elements for the attractions there.
Yeah, it's really balanced land, and then the Yoshi, not only does it satisfy the need for a slow ride for the kiddos and stuff like that, but what it also does is it adds a lot of kinetic energy to the land for people that are just not even on the ride and just from down below, just kind of looking at the land itself. It adds that kinetic energy, which is actually one of the strongest points of this entire land. The kinetic energy with Super Nintendo World is absolutely through the roof. So Yoshi's gonna add to that, you know?
Well, two things to that also as with Yoshi, right? So see how like everybody's on this attraction, right? I can't tell if it's like a 2 or 3 seater, but it looks like this will take in like eat a lot of people as well.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it'll be a people eater for sure. Absolutely.
And then I know we have Mario, Peach, and Luigi and Toad, you know, for characters. Man, where's Yoshi? I gotta have a Yoshi character out, dude. Like, where's Yoshi? Yeah, I love Yoshi.
Yeah, actually, when I went to Nintendo World the first time, I got one of these. Hold on, I'm gonna show you guys my special access. Give me a second. I'm gonna show you some special access. I got one of these bad boys, and actually, it was Yoshi is the one that I got. So I love Yoshi. You can't go wrong with Yoshi.
I like that. I like the look of that better than Magic Band Plus.
Oh, definitely. And they're hardy. They're like thicker, you know. They're like meatier than the Magic Bands. They're good quality.
It's a family ride, which is just too cute for words.
We're joining Yoshi in exploring Mount Beanpole in the search for 3 glowing eggs. It's a fun, colorful, interactive ride the whole family will love.
You'll see incredible views of the world that you're not going to see anywhere else.
Yoshi and Mario Kart, they're so iconic. Donkey Kong is one of the original icons, and we certainly couldn't do a Super Nintendo World without including him.
Donkey Kong Country is a completely different landscape from Super Mario Land.
You're exploring through very lush jungle with rhythm and music.
But the land really comes to life. When you see the mine carts coming through the land, it really looks like it's a runaway mine cart.
My Kart Madness gives guests an opportunity to join Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. It's a coaster that has jumps, turns, leaps, dips, dives.
It's got the most innovative technology inside of it to make us feel like we're actually jumping the track.
There are 0 screens. It is all real show.
Okay, now this is one of the things that's interesting, right? He goes on to say there's zero screens, right? Now here's the thing with it. This is interesting. I really want to pick your guys' brain on this. I think that's fantastic because Universal does lean too much with the screen thing. You know what I'm saying? But I hope they don't go in too far of that direction. And what I mean by that is that you never want to get to a point where like screens aren't inherently bad, right? It's one more tool in the toolbox that these creatives should use. So appropriately, when used appropriately, screens actually can add to the experience, right? I mean, even like Spider-Man over at Island of Adventure is one of Universal's best rides. There's screens all over that. I mean, the whole ride is basically screens. So I hope they don't demonize screens where it's like, oh, we're too afraid to use them now. They have a place, you know? I don't want to get to the point where it's like, remember like the lead up to like The Force Awakens? It was like this big push, practical effects, which is awesome. But CGI and digital stuff has a place as well. So great, there's no screens, but you don't want to go too far in either direction. I think that you want to utilize all your tools in your toolbox. If you have the technology, use it when appropriate. But what are your thoughts on? I'll start with you, Slimer, and then work our way up. What are your thoughts on the 0 screens comment?
Yeah, I don't know who approved that comment because I feel like it does lean too much in the opposite direction. It does sound like a pejorative, right? Like, well, no screens here, guys. You don't have to worry about it. So yeah, I agree with you, man. Like that whole comment was completely unnecessary and like really out from left field for me, especially considering that Universal supposedly solved the too much screen problem, you know, a couple of years ago. I mean, I thought they already squashed that bug. So, but you know, here they are reassuring people there aren't going to be, you know, zero screens. So it's like were there Universal fans that were just like, yes, no screens? Like, is this an actual comment or a reaction that people are having? So, well, I mean, Webba, like, were you just like, did you do a little fist bump when you heard that there were 0 screens?
To me, it doesn't really matter that much. As on here's saying, if it looks cool and it's done really well, whether it's with practical effects or screens, I'm all good, right? And if it fits the context for what's happening, we're good. I think the big problem people have with screens, like for example with like movies or like CGI stuff, is that if it looks like crap, right? No one wants anything that looks like garbage, you know. And you know, if we have a practical effect on there and it looks terrible, it's going to look terrible, you know, whether it's a screen or not. So I think with this comment, I think what they're trying to do is really, because I think there has been a thing on Twitter and whatnot about like Universal having a lot of screens, because even at Universal California, you know, Harry Potter has screens. Jurassic World has screens. Even The Mummy has some screens or projections or whatever. Transformers has screens. You know, Mario Kart has AR. So I think there's a lot of stuff that's digital, but if it's done well, I know I'm okay with it personally.
Yeah, and we talked about that actually when we were in line for the tram tour, Eva. Like we were talking about the King Kong, how it used to be the giant animatronic with the banana breath.
Right. Okay. So that's where I will actually say I wish we had that over what we have now, because what we have now is cool. That whole practical effects scene with like the helicopter crashing into the city, you know, you have the buildings on fire and everything, then you have King Kong like shaking the bridge. That to me will always be superior than the 3D surround thing inside the stage building.
I would agree, and here's the thing too. You take for example the old King Kong with the physical animatronic King Kong, which was badass. We love that thing, right? But this is a perfect example of like how you can incorporate screens into that scene. They could have taken that animatronic and incorporated like maybe screens as a backdrop that's more interactive with the animatronic, and that's kind of like just an example of how you can kind of utilize and kind of weave these technologies together.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. It doesn't have to be either or, you know, you can kind of do both. You just have to do it right. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I was saying. It's like, if you do it right, then it's going to be great. You know what I mean? If you do it wrong, people are going to tell that people are going to complain about it. So, I mean, that's what I think of with Tiana's. I know this is universal, but Tiana's, right? They're going to use a mix of audio animatronics and probably a lot of projection mapping and screens and whatnot in their attraction. You know, you have a combination of the both for best worlds. Boom, smack in the middle.
Yeah, no, exactly. Now, Seymour, I know you're not as privy to a lot of the theme park stuff, but did this comment, what did this comment mean to you, or if anything
means
at all?
Nothing to me. As long as I don't care if you have screens or you have 0 screens, as long as the attraction is good, that's all I care about.
Yeah,
as long as it's good, fun, entertaining, why would I care? As long as it's good, right? So if 0 screens, I don't know why I should care about that. If it's good, then the ride should speak for itself.
I think that's a really good point, because, you know, Seymour not being an avid theme park goer, he's like a good sample size of the average person. So if this is to like a general audience per se, then this comment's gonna be lost on a lot of people. They're gonna be like, what?
Yeah, it's like a deep cut in a movie.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? Because here's the thing. We also have to think about, because great point, Seymour and Slimer, is like that, you know, we're just talking amongst us theme park nerds, right? Are we going to be talking about people who don't really go to theme parks that much, whether because they don't or because they just really can't, and about the general normies, right? Do the normies really give a crap out if there's all screens, little screens, a mix, right? Do they even really care about that? You know, that's the question too. Is that I don't know if they do or not. But a lot of the theme park people, they're either like very pro physical stuff, you know, or stuff like, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of interesting to see what that's going to be.
There's a divide between the normies and the theme park diehards, right? And we make no bones about it. We are definitely in the theme park diehard camp. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And if you're watching this video, you probably are too, you know? But like, here's the thing. It's like, if I were to ask a coworker, casual theme park fans who just go with their kids and they're not in this Twitter theme park world nerd space, they're going to see a comment like this and go, I don't care.
Well, exactly, OG. I have coworkers at work, you know, who you know, they do go to Disneyland and whatever. But when I tell them about stuff that's going on in the parks, they're like, if it wasn't for you, I would have no idea of what's going on. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
no, exactly. So it's kind of like the IP thing too, like the nerds, like those diehard Disney Twitter nerds, like all of us, right? We all want the non-IP stuff. We want Disney to do like a non-IP attraction. The normies, my coworkers, no, they want the Elsa ride. Okay, they want that. They want the Zootopia thing. They don't want the non-IP thing. So there is a gap here. Yeah, they're definitely speaking to the diehard nerds. Interesting take. For me, it reminds me a lot of Lucasfilm pounding the practical effect thing, leading up to the sequel trilogy. It was just kind of reeked of that a little bit.
It is all real show. It is all real thrill. It will blow their minds on what we were able to turn into a real life experience. When I see Super Nintendo World, what I see is the
Gotcha.
Just real quick, I know you probably can't do anything, but I thought it was kind of interesting how in at least the two front seats, it looks like each person has like a steering wheel. I don't know. I don't know if it's like Mr. Toad where you just move it and it just spins, or if it's like still kind of like Indiana Jones. See, or no, they all have it. They all have like real.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's like that's interesting. I don't know if that's like just like a crazy lap bar.
I think the technical term for that is oh shit bar.
Exactly. It's the oh shit bar. Exactly.
It is all real thrill. It will blow their minds on what we were able to turn into a real life experience. When I see Super Nintendo World, what I see is the future of immersive experiences, where it's the gaming world and the real world being able to finally join together all around you.
I think this place is going to allow so many families to connect and bond over these timeless video games.
To me, I think that's why theme parks matter.
You could go there 20 times and you will always find something new every single time.
You got to come here and you have to see this place.
Super Nintendo World is going to bring so much joy to our guests and is one of the reasons why Universal Epic Universe will be an amazing theme park experience.
Now, we were talking about this in the DMs. We were talking about how Disney this ad feels, you know, and it does. It feels very Disney. And I think it's a smart move, I think, because I think that on Universal's part, one of the things that kind of turned me off to Universal in years past was it's sort of almost obnoxious, like in your face, vacation like you mean it, bro. You know, that kind of energy. As a Disney fan, I'm not really into that. This reels me in more. This kind of feels more familiar as a Disney fan, right? I'm just speaking as a Disney nerd. It reels me in more. It feels more familiar. I don't know. I think it's going to resonate. What are your thoughts, Webba?
Well, so for me, what I get from it, and OG, let me know if you feel this way, or Slimer, or Seymour, if you guys think that was too. I think what it is that the way they present it is very much that kind of theme park creative passion for what they're doing, right? Like, hey, here's our land. We're super proud of it. This is what we're bringing to our guests. You know, our new land is going to be super immersive, right? The storytelling, characters, all this great stuff, right? And, you know, Disney is, you know, we're used to that with Disney. From Universal, not so much. But now I think with Epic Universe, I think Universal might be trying to change their strategy. And this might be something even with them going forward onto the other new parks that are coming.
Yeah, no, well said. Slime Crime, what do you think?
Well, you know, this can also be a byproduct of just the overall hybrid or the cross-pollination of Universal creatives and WDI employees coming over to Universal to work on these projects. And so they take a lot of that culture over to Universal and vice versa, which is why you kind of see them both mirroring each other, you know? But yeah, you're right, Webba. This is like Imagineer creatives talking about their new projects and giving, you know, the theme park community, the resort guests more of an insight of what's going into these lands. But you're right, there is like a hybrid going on between the two now, and they're becoming more homogenized. But I don't know if they're doing it deliberately or if it's just the culture of one company bleeding over into another, kind of like just, you know, what do you say, like incidentally, you know?
Yeah, now we're gonna do a video. We're gonna do a video on this when the Italiano gets back. He's actually en route back to Pennsylvania right now. He's flying over, but yeah, he's en route. But like, you know, we all went to Universal Hollywood, right, Ebba, with your lovely wife and with Wizard and with, you know, George, and Wizard's good friend. And the tram tour, the 60th anniversary tram tour, is chocked full of nostalgia. Now, Universal isn't necessarily known for like that nostalgia push. They've done it. They dabbled, right? They dabbled in the past, but now they're doing it really, really well. I was really impressed. I told you guys with that tram tour, the way they incorporated that tram tour, and they kind of brought elements of the early tram tour where you get out and you walk around, things like that, really tapping into that nostalgia. I was really impressed with that. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because it seems like Universal is taking a page out of Disney's playbook with that. I think it's a smart move on that end, because nostalgia sells, man. I know it sounds really like, you know, kind of slimy, but it does sell. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Well, not only that, but I mean, I was talking to Slimer about this about a month ago or so, about a lot of Universal's older, their older IPs that they have, in my opinion, were some of the best. You know, and even on our tram tour, they took us by this awesome, and we couldn't really see it because it was at night, but because I was on the side, I could kind of see some of it. But they had a mural that was like handcrafted by one guy, I think they said, and
all the Universal monsters, right?
Yeah. I think there was 4 different like old Universal monsters that was like hand done on the wall, dude. It was so dope, and it's like so you have the Universal monsters, Jaws, E.T., Back to all these King Kong, all these older old school IPs. People love this stuff, man.
They do, man. They do. The old school Universal IP they were bangers. Like Back to the Future. I mean, that is like honestly, Back to the Future is one of the greatest trilogies of all time. Like literally one of the greatest trilogies of all time.
I actually, I on my TV over here in the living room, I actually have the all the footage from the Back to the Future of the ride restored in 4K displaying back here. I mean, it's
nice.
Seymour, did you ever have the opportunity to come and ride Back to the Future when it was at one of the parks?
Yes, it was. I was 10. 10. Way back. That's like the thing I liked about Universal, because like after they changed Dominions and all the other stuff, it didn't attract me to the parks. Because like Back to the Future, Men in Black, Ghostbusters, those were the things I remembered, and I liked those. Now, not so much, but with Nintendo, it's bringing me back in.
Yeah. And also too, I think where that Fun World is, whatever, OG, with the Mania stuff, T2 to be over there. That show, that 3D T2 show, was also dope as well.
Over Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood. Yeah.
Okay.
Over at Hollywood. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's dive into our next video. This is actually a courtesy of Theme Park Stop, Elisa Stella, friend of the channel. Go ahead right here, smash that like button. She does great work. They do great work over there at Theme Park Stop. But this video right here is actually breaking down just a few days ago. On top of this news today with the Epic Universe stuff, a few days ago, Universal dropped a bombshell, right? Go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to say one comment about Mario. I just remembered. There was one thing that disappointed me with that announcement. That attraction, that whole land is coming in 2025, but you can get all of that in 2024 in Japan.
Sure.
And so that hype that's going to go for that attraction, for me, like they want to bring me in, right? I don't feel like going to Florida if I can just go to Japan and get Mario. If I'm only going there for Mario, I don't feel that push for Florida. And I've seen some people on X talking about it as well. It's like, why should I go to Florida when I can go to Japan? And you get Pokemon in Japan too. And you see Disney parks, they have different attractions in different countries. But in this one, the Nintendo one is not different. You're going to get Donkey Kong, you're going to get Yoshi, and you're going to get the other park, the other attraction, Toadstool Cafe. All of that is still going to be there in Japan. Why do I have to wait another year?
Although Seymour, I will say this though. Not that I'm saying that you're wrong or anything, but you're wrong. I'm just kidding. But I want to ask you though, right? How many people do you realistically think though will go to Japan first before they wait to go to Florida?
Well, people not outside of the U.S. I think the people will go to the other countries, because right now Japan is really cheap to go to vacation, just for the hotels, and the yen has been falling down significantly. It's actually why I've been buying Japanese stocks. But but yeah, like it's so much cheaper. So people outside the U.S. where the currency, they don't have U.S. currency, like say Europe or Asia or even in Canada. Why should I be going to Florida, spending my ticket? Like I have to get a plane, I have to go, get the exchange it when I go to Japan, and I probably pay half the price to go, and I get that Japanese experience too. So I can get cheap Wagyu there. I'm not gonna get that in Florida.
Yeah, sure. I'm telling you, Seymour. If we go to Japan, it's probably gonna be a one-way trip for OG. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah, most likely for me too. They have like really good visas for if you work at home 6 months, you can stay there. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stay here for 6 months and then find my future wife.
Exactly.
So we're saying is like that Mr. Webb is gonna have to web sling you guys back, like forcefully, because you guys don't want to come along.
Exactly.
Well, one of the I want to add on to that, Mr. Seymour. One of the really interesting things about Universal Studios Japan is that it's a combination of Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios all in one park. So they basically took the best of Universal, the best of Islands, made it a one place, so you can get everything in one stop without having to pay for 2 tickets. And if you know if you're trying to maximize your Universal trip, yeah, Universal Studios Japan is a really park to go because you're paying 1 ticket. You basically get Islands and Universal all at once, and yeah, it's great for somebody that might want to do something other than theme parks, wants to dip into the theme parks, get it all done one day, and then move on to what else there is to offer in terms of tourist attractions in Japan. Whereas here, it's more of like a theme park resort. You know, you're gonna do Islands one day, Universal another day, Epic Universe another day, right? So it adds up pretty quick. You know, I mean, that's you're paying triple the price, if not 4 times the price, once you take into conversion into consideration.
Yeah, well said. All right, let's dive into this one. This is Elisa Stella, Theme Park Stop. Smash that like button. Here we go.
Universal Orlando has officially announced many of the new experiences debuting this summer, including the grand opening date for DreamWorks Land. A new parade featuring retro Universal properties, a lagoon show featuring over 600 drones, and more will debut at Universal Studios Florida this summer, as well as a new Hogwarts Castle show at Islands of Adventure. Let's explore all of the official details as well as what might be rumored next in today's news update. The new DreamWorks Land replacing Kids Zone at Universal Studios Florida will make its official debut on June 14th. Guests will be able to explore Shrek's Swamp, enjoy the Troller Coaster, interact with Poe in the Panda Village, encounter characters like Gabby from Gabby's Dollhouse, and more. Plus, Universal says guests will be transported into the worlds of some of their favorite characters in DreamWorks Imagination Celebration, a multi-sensory live show that will bring beloved DreamWorks stories to life like never before. Annual pass holder previews will be available ahead of the DreamWorks Land official opening, but details have not yet been revealed. Beginning July.
So I want to touch upon this just a little bit. Like, this is something that I feel. See, the Universal, they hit a lot of home runs, and then sometimes they just kind of don't care. You know what I'm saying? This land kind of feels like we don't really care. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit cheap looking for me. I don't know, in my opinion. Not that Disney doesn't do cheap looking stuff all the time. They do, absolutely. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this, Webb? Then I'll go down the row.
So I like that they are getting like an area like this, kind of more for the family/kids type of area. The coaster, the troll coaster, I like there's a coaster there, but the caterpillar thing, I don't like the face on it. Anyways,
it's funny. Our friend Maybe was hilarious. She was calling it a 90-degree ass caterpillar because the face is like round, but then the cars behind it are all like super square and boxy. It was kind of funny. Go ahead.
But so seriously, so I'll say like that DreamWorks, like, I've never really been a huge fan of their IPs, so to speak. So this area doesn't really call to me that much. For what it is, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it because I don't really care that much, if that makes sense.
No, that's fair. No, that's absolutely fair. It's like for me personally, like when they opened the NBA experience at Disney Springs, I don't care about sports. Couldn't care less. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, because seriously, because like these characters right here, like the Trolls, Panda, and then Shrek. I mean, the only movie I really liked was Shrek. Like Trolls, I don't really care for Trolls. Kung Fu Panda, I did enjoy the 3D thing that we watched here at Hollywood.
Yeah.
But I've actually never watched any of the movies. So a lot of the recent DreamWorks stuff that's been coming out, I haven't been really watching. So again, I don't really care about this area. But if people are going to enjoy it, people are going to enjoy it. So yeah, I mean, I do wish the sign looked a little bit better. God, I can't talk. But other than that, I hope the kiddos have fun in it.
That's a temporary sign from what I've heard, and they're going to get a nicer sign as it gets closer to the opening date. But I put this on par with like Sesame Street over at Busch Gardens or over at SeaWorld. It's perfectly serviceable for kids of a certain age. Right. It's going to be a place where they can, get their energy out, which is going to be really great for the parents. As long as it's some place that they can go explore, have fun, get, maybe some blood on the knees falling. I think that's great. I think that all theme parks, especially more family-friendly theme parks, should have a place like that. If there is an area for kids to, get on the monkey bars and act like children, I think that's better than like, let's say what you have over at Storybook Circus, where it caters to kids, but there's really not a whole lot for them to do other than ride Dumbo, ride, the Goofy what is the Goofy's roller coaster ride? I can't remember off the top of my head. And then play in the water. Cause during the summertime, they do turn on the water sprinkler systems over in the circus, what is it, like the circus train carts area. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot for kids to do. So it's kind of like this weird amalgamation of it's for kids, but then there's like nothing for kids to do other than splash around in water. So we'll see. One thing I do like about this area is that it is right next to ET, which is also more of a kid-friendly attraction with a lot of nostalgia for, people my age that rode it when we were kids. So that's definitely going to bring that demographic to that ride and introduce the little ones into ET, which is just a fantastic film, fantastic ride. It's got, all the touches of an 80s, 90s theme park attraction. And I think that's great. And introducing kids to ET is always, in my opinion, a good thing. It's a fantastic film. And if you haven't seen ET yet, like, what are you doing with your life? Because the last 10 minutes of that movie are some of the best on film.
Absolutely.
Well, and also too, sorry, OG, real quick. I have to say it's also too, as someone like myself and also know you too, OG. This is more talking about like the Orlando parks, but for Universal, it's good that they have a place like this, Slimer, because I have been complaining about Universal in Florida, not really like they're having a lot of thrill aspect stuff. So it's nice that they have like a more kid oriented area, that like you said, the parents can take their kids to. So
yeah, absolutely. And as an old fogey, I fondly remember the ET game on the Atari. I used to play that game religiously.
Oh boy.
You poor soul.
You know what I'm saying? Seymour, what are your thoughts? I know, like I said, you're not really like super tapped into the theme park stuff, but overall, like what you've seen with this land.
It's a bad idea of putting the Super Nintendo World first and then this, because now this looks lackluster. It doesn't look appealing to me, unfortunately. It feels like these are Universal owned IPs, and it doesn't look like they're putting effort in it. I simply don't care. And compared to Super Nintendo World, you see the colorful, the area so colorful, vibrant. Here, it just looks like they didn't put any effort compared to that, right? And it boggles my mind that it's because their own IP, right? I understand it's for the kids, but to me, like Webba, it's not for me.
Well, it's Seymour, brother. I mean, and here's the thing. This is a point we brought up on another Universal show a few months back, OG. It was about, and Slam, I think you were there too, right? It was about Universal owning versus having IP that they license.
Right.
Right.
And the differences on how they approach both of these. Because like with Harry Potter and Nintendo, it's like spare no expense. Here's a blank check, right?
Right.
Their own IP, DreamWorks, it's like, well, not so much,
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with how much revenue these IPs generate in what countries. Like, let's say Kung Fu Panda, for example. I think Kung Fu Panda, every single one has grossed over $500 million at the box office. So there's 4 of them. So it's It's a $2 billion franchise across 4 movies and across 20 years. All right. I think Kung Fu Panda is bigger in China. I don't know if it's bigger in China in terms of box office. I'd have to look at the revenue. I'd have to look to see how much it generates here domestically and how much it generates in China. But if you watch Ordinary Adventures' new trip to was it Shanghai Universal? You know, they do a tour of the hotel that's connected right to their Universal City Walk that goes right into the park, and they have this humongous Kung Fu Panda statue that illuminates at night, and it looks like they spared no expense. And they even have Kung Fu Panda themed rooms at the Universal Studios Hotel over there.
Wow. And
so Universal really does pick and choose which IPs they lean into in what parts of the world based off of the cultures.
But I have a question too, Slimer, though, right? But but here's the thing, though. Did Universal fit the whole bill for that quality of product over there, or was it the government country that was like kind of with Disney half there, right?
I don't know, man. That's a good question, and that's something we should definitely check out. But yeah, there is more investment in this in Asia for sure. And I like I said, I think that determination is definitely in consideration of how much revenue the IP generates here and the cultural significance versus other parts of the world. But yeah, Seymour, I think that is a missed opportunity if you are into Kung Fu Panda and you are an adult and you're expecting more, especially with Shrek. I think Trolls maybe gets a pass because it's Trolls. But there are definitely other Universal parks where Panda and Shrek are given a lot more street cred.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of like, I think people should keep a close eye on this, because I think this is what the kids park in Texas is. This is what they're gonna. I think this is what the bulk of that park is gonna look like, in my opinion. They're going for that right. They're going for that Legoland, Sesame Place kind of vibe, and I think this is the kind of thing you're gonna get over there. And like you said, Slimer, it's good for the kiddos. You know, maybe for us, we're not like super impressed. It's not really for us, but it does look a little cheap. I do agree with Seymour on that. We'll see. We'll see how it pans out. But yeah, that Texas park, I think is going to be like this. Go ahead, Alaba.
Well, especially since this is for a new park, right?
This right here?
No, this is Universal Studios.
Oh, it's Universal Studios. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Because I was saying, I mean, either way, it's for a Universal theme park that people are saying that's on par with Disney. So this should be better.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've made that argument a lot. Like, if you're gonna say it's equal to the Mouse House, you know, you gotta be equal with the Mouse House. You know, I'm not saying Disney's perfect, but like I would say even Toy Story Land, which is a pretty weak land, you know, theming wise and stuff, is still a few notches above this. So
yeah, I agree. And this is why I said it's more like a Storybook Circus. Like if we keep it in perspective, that's going to be its closest comparison, or Sesame Street at Busch Gardens.
Absolutely, 100%.
Be available ahead of the DreamWorks Land official opening, but details have not yet been revealed. Beginning July 3rd, Universal Mega Movie Parade at Universal Studios Florida will be a celebration of iconic movies, including E.T., Back to the Future, Jaws, Ghostbusters, Jurassic World,
Did I hear that right, Slimer? Did they say Ghostbusters? Oh. I think they did. I think they
Ghostbusters.
Yes.
Nation's Minions and Sing, and DreamWorks Trolls and Kung Fu Panda. The Universal Mega Movie Parade will be Universal Orlando's biggest daytime parade and combine 13 brand new floats, nearly 100.
I will say though, like Ghostbusters, Jaws. I mean, the IP selection for this parade is like pretty flawless in my opinion. Like we were talking earlier about the old school IPs are better than a lot of the Minions stuff and all that. Universal's really tapping into like their best stuff in this parade, I think, you know, with their IP selection. Really good choice.
Performers and special effects. Universal says guests will watch in awe as they see a massive 16-foot Stay Puft Marshmallow Man atop the Ghostbusters float, the colorful Catterbus and giant rainbows on the vibrant Trolls float, a live marching drum line performing the iconic movie score of Jaws alongside a float theme to the film, and for the epic finale, a gyrosphere, raptors, and fierce Tyrannosaurus Rex aboard the Jurassic World float. There will be a pass holder preview for the parade, which will be revealed later.
Okay, that sounds pretty dope, dude. And I'll get chills with the marching band with the Jaws theme. I mean, that's gonna be incredible. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Michael Webber, on that parade?
Yeah, no, I think it's dope. Slimer, can you tell me if Universal at any of the parks there ever had a parade of any kind?
Yeah, they have parades at Universal Studios all the time. They don't have parades at Islands of Adventure though. But they've always had parades at Universal, as far as I can remember, all the way back in the day. You have the Mardi Gras parade. They have had SpongeBob SquarePants in parades. They've had Marilyn Monroe in the parade. They've always had parades. But this is their biggest parade. 100 actors. What did they say? Did they say how many floats there were going to be in it?
Oh, I don't remember her saying that.
Yeah.
No, sure.
But the fact that they're leaning so hard on the nostalgia in this is like incredible to me, because Universal Studios has always strayed away from nostalgia. They've always moved towards the latest and the greatest, using their theme parks as pushers for their, movie production studio side. And so for them to invest in Ghostbusters and Trolls and Super Mario and Jurassic World, King Kong, Jaws, I mean, like, they're giving everybody, Back to the Future, they're giving everybody what they want, which it's like about time, because everybody's been asking for this for literally like
forever,
like 15 years. Yeah.
Now you did mention SpongeBob, so that's actually, I think, if they use SpongeBob again, they're gonna have to write Sony a check for that one, I think, pretty soon.
Yeah,
from what we're seeing on Twitter, it looks like Sony's moving in, right, Seymour?
Yep. It looks like they're gonna give him an all cash offer.
Man, but yeah, I do think this parade is gonna be really cool though. Like that T-Rex, oh man, that looks so cool. And having those iconic, classic, IPs from Universal is gonna be sick. Big parade, a lot of floats, a lot of actors. It's gonna be really cool, and I'm so happy like that. This, and on top of the other thing we're gonna be getting to is like I love seeing this stuff from Universal.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
Seymour, as like a theme park normie, man, like how does this come off?
I like it. It shows that Universal's actually stepping up their game. It's competing with Disney, and I like friendly competition. It's good for growth. And here is Universal actually stepping up, showing up the IPs that people actually care about. You're bringing in the Ghostbusters, bringing Jaws, Jurassic Park. You bring those good IPs, people will come. And those IPs is what I remember when I was a kid at Universal, and that's the type of stuff I would go and actually see in this parade.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to add something to that. Without Spectrum Magic and without Main Street Electrical Parade, this will probably be the best parade in Orlando.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, because what else is there? You have Festival of Fantasy. You have the, you have the, what is the name of the cavalcade during Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
That's a really good parade. I would say when that one's going, it's probably the best parade in Orlando when that's around. You have the daytime parade over at Universal Studios, which is meh. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be the best parade in town until Spectrum Magic or Main Street Electrical come back. So, good on Universal.
Is this a night? Do we know, Slimer? Is this a nighttime thing or a day and nighttime parade?
Daytime parade.
Daytime parade. Okay.
Really.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say it's interesting because the clip we were just shown with the T-Rex
was a
nighttime.
Yeah. I think she says that it's a daytime parade.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but if they do it at night, hey man, if they do this once in the day, once in the night, that's great, because then it spreads around the crowds. They're not everywhere. You got offers more opportunities for people to catch the parade. Catch it twice. Once in the day, one at night. But yeah, the more entertainment opportunities to have, the better.
Well said.
Holder preview for the parade, which will be revealed later. The new Lagoon show for Universal Studios Florida, debuting June 14th, is named Cinesational, a symphonic spectacular. This new show will celebrate scores from blockbuster films that have inspired Universal Orlando's past, present, and future attractions, including Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts, Jurassic World, Jaws, Shrek, Ghostbusters, Trolls, Back to the Future, Universal Monsters, Transformers, How to Train Your Dragon, E.T., Fast and Furious, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Minions, The Mummy, and King Kong. This next level lagoon show will feature 228 fountains that reach heights up to 131 feet, 4K projection mapping, an original composition featuring newly arranged scores, and more than 600 drones. Before the show officially debuts, Universal says that pass holders will be able to attend a special preview, with details to be revealed later.
Crazy, right? That's crazy. Now, the cool thing about this is actually most of the stuff on that list is John Williams. So you really can't go wrong with John Williams. But yeah, this has a lot of promise, this Lagoon show. Absolutely. I'm cautiously optimistic because I know the last Lagoon show, from what I understand, wasn't that great. Now, Slimer, do you think that they can kind of make up for that in this one, or how do you feel about that? Because the last one I heard was like kind of
Yeah, so they have like regular daytime event Lagoon shows, which are The Lagoon show that they did really well was Monsters of Mayhem back in Halloween Horror Nights 29, which I think was in 2019, I believe. That's a really good Lagoon show. If you guys haven't seen that, just look up Monsters of Mayhem HHN 29 on YouTube. You can watch it there. That was really good. I saw that in person. We were impressed. This is obviously going to be an improvement on that in a couple of ways. One, you're getting 4K projectors. Two, more water. And then the 600 drones thing.
That's crazy, right?
Like that. Yeah, that can't be underestimated. That's huge. And it's huge that Universal Studios is doing it first. And this is why, like I said in the DMs, it's full blown war in Orlando between Universal and Disney. They're pulling no punches, all stops. That's massive. That's going to put a lot of pressure on Disney. I know Disney's already working on drones. We've already seen footage of them doing it over, I think it was Epcot, I believe, right? Was it that they were doing the drone testing? So we know that, yeah, we know they're bringing drones. That's not the issue. It's not the issue whether they're going to do it or not. But the Universal is doing it first, and that there's going to be 600 of them. Like, this is really going to put pressure on Disney's nighttime entertainment, and as far as like who's going to be the big dog in Florida. So I'm really looking forward to this. Seymour, again, like I want to get your normie perspective, man. Like, where are you with this?
Pretty much the same as the parade. They're hitting all the hits, and I'm all for it, including Mario. I don't know if they announced Mario for the parade, but Mario for this one, I'm all for it. They have the iconic music, so for me, I'm all for it. And Universal's hitting all the punches. They're pushing for theme parks attractions, and this one I can see myself going, even though like I'm a normie. I don't go to theme parks. This one, plus I'm a music nerd. So, but yeah, I like this. This attraction I would go. I would just watch and listen and look at the drones.
Well said. Yeah, no, I'm the same way as you, Seymour. I fell in love with the old school Universal IP, and I think that was one of my biggest issues with modern Universal, was that they leaned so much into the Minions and all that stuff, which I didn't care about at all. And now they still got the Minions, and they should. I get it. The kiddos love Minions. You can't completely abandon that franchise. It's huge, you know. But I'm glad they're bringing in some of this older stuff for the rest of us who are not maybe into that newer stuff. Back to the Future, E.T., that stuff. I think that's huge. That's an untapped gold mine. What do you think, Mr. Webba? This Lagoon show. 300, was it 300 drones, Slimer?
600 drones.
600 drones and projections, all kinds of stuff. Projection mapping, water, all that. What do you think, brother?
Yeah, this is going to be amazing because, like, well, because first of all, that list of IP they have there, I mean, you also have Transformers, The Mummy, right? King Kong. Now, that's going to be so cool. And they're going to have, like, all these fountains. They're going to have like the water, the screens, the the 4K projectors.
Yeah.
All the drones, and they didn't say it, but in the concept art, it looks like there's fireworks as well.
Yeah. That'd be crazy if they did both, because they haven't done that yet.
Right. That'd be insane. But it looks like it's going to be really, really cool. I've always said I stand by it, that Disneyland's Fantasmic is the best nighttime spectacular like show. Right. I mean, I do love World of Color, but I love the original version, and maybe this might beat out, at least being being a second one, just because I feel with Fantasmic you get like the live performers that always adds
Right.
that physicality to it.
Yeah.
But with this though, you know, as terms I was like just like an effect show with like the water, the drones, you know, like lasers and fire and all that stuff, could be like the best show out in like in the country. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, Seymour, I want to ask you: have you ever seen one of these lagoon shows with the projections on the mist screens? Have you ever? Because I know you're not like a theme park.
I've seen videos on X and YouTube for them, but never experienced it. The only, I guess, close enough was the Rock Park. But it was fireworks and lasers, but it was to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, nice.
But besides that was like the closest thing. But I've seen videos of it, and it always looks intriguing. But never gone to see one actually live. And this one, you know, if I go to Epic Universe, I might be the one going to see this because this seems intriguing with all the IPs. Right? There's a reason for me now to go. It's not just Minions. Yeah. So like Back to the Future, you know, how kind of their music is, you know, E.T. Yeah.
Dude, it's incredible.
It's great. It sounds like they're going big on everything for the show. The mist screens, the projectors, right? The drones, how high the fountains go, right? They're going big on this show. And with all the IP, I feel like this might be like a 20-25 minute show or something, man. Because you got to fit a bunch of segments for all the IP in there.
Yeah. Oh, there was a lot too. Alicia was going down the list, and there's a lot of franchises in this show. So you're right. It probably is like 25 minutes or something like that. You know, it's gonna be crazy. Absolutely
and this is good for Universal because their Xfinity brand is dying, linear is dying, and now it looks like they're catering to the theme park business much more, and they're competing with Disney, and it just means Disney needs to, you know, push back and provide us something better. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Dude, it's so true. The hard pivot is not a coincidence. When you look at their linear numbers, there's a reason that they're pulling out old IPs. And again, a lot of it could be demand from, you know, the 40 plus crowd saying bring back to the Future, you know, shaking their canes in the air. But there's a big component of these decisions that has a lot to do with, okay, what do we have? You know, what do we have that's in our, you know, that's in our library, our legacy library that we can bring back that we know is going to attract guests back to the parks, because you're right, they're not doing great in linear, which means they're going to have to double down on their legacy properties over at the parks to, you know, keep them fresh and to keep them competing with Disney. So
Slimer, I have a question for you. Do you think, okay, because I know, like, you know, they're having all these new themes, right? Do you think all this stuff could be what you mentioned earlier as a factor? Not it's the cause of it, but a factor of having that kind of cross creativity of people from Disney coming to Universal, and now, like what Seymour was saying, it like they're adding more kind of theme park stuff into it, such as a parade, like these big parades, now this big nighttime show, right? That's like that can compete with Disney. Do you think a factor maybe some people from Disney's creative side who came over to Universal and kind of put some like a bug in their ear about some of the stuff?
I mean, it's highly likely. You know, nostalgia is something that Disney has always leaned into. It's you know, nostalgia creates that emotion that when you go to the parks, you want to go back and experience it again and again and again. It's kind of like drugs, you know. They produce similar results in a way, and a chemical level. So I think they're like, why don't we just do this at Universal Studios? And they have to some degree, like, and we're going to hit it here with Harry Potter. Absolutely very Disney when it comes to like how they approach the nostalgic aspect of Harry Potter. The only problem is, like OG Mafia pointed out earlier, it's a one-trick pony. You know, the movies are phenomenal. I love the Harry Potter movies. I think they're some of the best ever made. But you know, if you look at the Harry Potter movies in totality, like all 7 of them, they're better than the Star Wars movies. Like, who are we kidding? You know? But yeah, it just doesn't have the staying power of Mario and Back to the Future and Ghostbusters. It hasn't proven itself yet. It's a 20-year-old property. The ones that are going to be showcased here go back, I mean, all the way to the 1930s with the monsters, and 1975 if you take into consideration Jaws. So,
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of evergreen franchises on that list. It's pretty cool.
On select nights beginning June 14th, a new Hogwarts Castle projection show named Hogwarts Always will take place in the wizarding world of Harry Potter Hogsmeade in Islands of Adventure. The new show will feature iconic moments of a school year at Hogwarts, like supply shopping in Diagon Alley, riding aboard the Hogwarts Express, participating in the sorting ceremony, celebrating the House Cup winner, and more. Universal says the show will feature 4 different endings that celebrate each Hogwarts house and will culminate with a colorful pyrotechnic display.
Universal. Now, I want to touch upon that before we move on. 4 different endings. Has that ever been done before in a nighttime show or any show? That's interesting. I don't think it has. That seems pretty new to me. You know.
Well, you notice how the scenes in it are like the most emotional scenes in the movies. It's like they hooked up a group of people to like a detector, and they're like, let's see what makes these people emotional in the films. And like, okay, so this scene, the Quidditch scene, the riding on the train scene, right. And that's what they're using it at. I mean, so like the nostalgia factor is strong with the Harry Potter projection show. It's pretty wild.
It's wild, absolutely.
Today that this summer's tribute store will complement the new parade and feature themed rooms, merchandise, and photo ops inspired by some of the films that will be seen in the Universal Mega Movie Parade. More details for the summer tribute store will be revealed later. Many of today's announcements were things that we discussed in our previous video,
I got
all about rumors.
Oh, let me go back a little bit. Hold on one sec.
Do you guys have a tribute store in California? You guys don't, right?
Oh, I don't think we do. No, I might be mistaken. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I don't think we do though.
Yeah. So Seymour, this is great because they get you emotionally connected, and you know, they pull your heartstrings, and then they just funnel you to the store and go, well, now that we've made you feel this way, go ahead and buy some of the merchandise that correlates with the feelings you just had. It's good. It's smart, and people love it, man. The tribute store is one of the highlights of Universal Studios original. By the way, is that Wayne Brady on the right hand side there?
Is it? Let's see. Hold on one sec.
It's worth things.
Oh, it didn't. We
discussed in our previous video.
This is pretty cool, though, man. This would be a great photo op. Did they have Slimer? Do they have the Ghostbuster car at Universal right now? Can you take pictures in front of it or anything like that? Or
no, no. So apparently they purchased the Ghostbuster car. I don't know if they're going to use it for the tribute store, if they're going to be using it for one of the houses that are rumored for Halloween Horror Nights this year. But yeah, the Ghostbusters car was always something. I mean, I remember being a kid, like chasing after the Ecto-1, like, come back, you know, because it was like such a big deal back in the, you know, when this park opened in 1990. But the Ghostbuster equipment that they had is like so par compared to like what your average fan can get now from like Hasbro or just make out of prop making materials.
You know, it's crazy, right? Like when I was a kid, did you collect all the Ghostbuster toys and the slime and all that stuff?
Oh yeah, I had the Firehouse. I had all the Ghostbuster toys, Ecto-1, both of them. You know, I had the flying one. Yeah, I had all of them. It was great.
It was so massive back then, and then the cartoon too was a franchise in and of itself, almost, right? The real Ghostbusters. Yeah, I mean that was massive for Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah, there were 7 seasons. I mean, for a 1980s cartoon, that's crazy. Because most of the popular cartoons from back in the day, they didn't. I mean, Transformers was what, 3 seasons, Silverhawks was 1 season. I think Thundercats had like 3 or 4. So I don't know how many seasons G.I. Joe had, maybe like 5. But yeah, for a show to have 7 seasons in the 80s is pretty wild.
Oh, it's wild. Even the most successful franchise like DuckTales and those Disney ones only ran like 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah.
So that's enormous, absolutely enormous.
Video all about rumors for the Ghostbusters returning to Universal Studios Florida, which is now confirmed.
That's cool.
At least when it comes to the parade and lagoon show. We've also discussed trademark applications from Universal for both Universal Mega Movie Parade and Cinesational, a symphonic spectacular. Details for the Epic Universe Preview Center were not revealed along with today's announcement. It is rumored that the Preview Center in Universal City Walk may also debut this summer, possibly in June or July. While this summer will focus on DreamWorks Land and these new entertainment offerings, most attention is still being paid to next year's debut of Epic Universe, which does not yet have an official opening date. Other rumors for 2025 have Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket closing permanently at Universal Studios Florida.
I gotta say, and look, I am biased because I don't like these kind of attractions, right? But I also understand the need for them, and I understand there is a market for fast thrill rides, right? So, for example, Velocicoaster. You're never going to see OG going on the Velocicoaster. It's just not my thing. But I understand there's a market for it. It's a great coaster. It absolutely has a place in that park. You know what I'm saying? This, though, this looks cheap. There's no real IP attached to it, from what I can tell. Universal can do so much better. They have done better recently, like with the Velocicoaster. So shedding no tears in regards to getting rid of this thing. Slimer, you've been on this, I assume?
Yeah, I've been on this several times. This park is actually problematic. There's a YouTube video you can watch called I don't remember the title of it, but just look up like the problem with Rip Ride Rocket, and this roller coaster has all sorts of issues. For example, I think they can't run it over a certain speed when the winds are over 15 miles per hour. It's notorious for breaking down. It was installed incorrectly, like right from the get-go. This thing has been a problem since opening day. So the sooner they can get rid of it, the better. I think, are going with Intamin for the new track coaster here. Okay. So they've already decided it is going to be a roller coaster replacing this roller coaster here. As far as like what IP it's going to be, the strongest rumors now, just based off of where it is in vicinity to New York and the Minions Land, is that it's either going to be a Minions based roller coaster, depending on what style coaster they go with, in terms of like the banking speed and inversions and things like that. It could still be Minions. I doubt it though. It could be, but I'm leaning more towards either Back to the Future or Ghostbusters. So in that corner of the park, they actually had, that's where the Ghostbuster firehouse used to be. And this ride actually rips through the firehouse, like going from behind it out of it.
Oh, okay.
So they can do a thing where like the Ecto one is ripping out of the firehouse, or they can get rid of the firehouse completely and they have a 2D stand-up background of the New York Public Library, and they can turn that into Hill Valley, the clock tower. So
interesting.
Yeah, that's I'd be fine with either one. Like, I'm not gonna, if it's Back to the Future, I'm not gonna complain if it's not Ghostbuster, and vice versa.
Yeah, those are great properties. So it goes through the old firehouse.
Yeah, the firehouse is just a facade, so it goes behind it, through it, comes out of it, makes banks a left. So yeah, I mean, Ecto one would be like a really easy shoo-in without them having to do anything to the firehouse. Otherwise, they can get rid of all that, kind of turn it into Hill Valley, and put it Back to the Future ride there. So I'm cool with either one. Yeah,
no, both of those are great. Absolutely.
Rumors suggest that this attraction could be replaced with a new Intamin manufactured roller coaster, possibly similar to the drifting coaster based on Fast and Furious, being built now at Universal Studios Hollywood. Stay tuned for more news and rumors for that possible project, as well as additional Epic Universe official announcements and construction updates coming soon. For even more information, as well as behind-the-scenes posts, your name in the credits, and more.
So I just want to thank Lisa Estella and everybody over there at Theme Park Stop. Fantastic video, as usual, breaking all this stuff down. But Universal is really doing a lot right now. I mean, just in the past few days, we got all that, and we got this Super Mario thing today. So overall, really good news. And like you all have said, I mean, competition is good. It's healthy. You want this. You want to have that competition. A rising tide really does lift all boats. I think it's helped us here in California. I've got to be honest. Like, the Super Nintendo World out here opened, what was it? I think it was January or February of last year. It hasn't hurt Disneyland at all. I mean, it's in fact, I think it's probably helped us. I think we have a very robust, healthy, like in terms of the quarterly earnings, and Seymour follows these very closely, but like Disneyland Resort has been like doing really well. And I think a lot of that is in part due to the fact that we have Nintendo here. It's bringing more tourists out here to California. So it's interesting. Seymour, I'll start with you, then I'll go down the road. But what overall thoughts on everything we talked about today? Super Nintendo World, the parade, the Lagoon Show, all that good stuff. And anything you want to add to this?
To add, nothing really. Nothing that I've said. It's just that Universal's pushing back with Disney. They're fighting. They're going with. You can see the all the attractions, the effort that they're putting in, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see, like, after Epic Universe comes out, we're gonna see even bigger attractions. There's rumors of a Zelda attraction, a Luigi's Mansion attraction, Pokemon. I wouldn't be surprised if they did a parade after Epic Universe is out. Nintendo and Pokemon together, because that's what they do in Japan. They have parades with that. They're pulling all the punches, and it's good because it's a win-win for us. Because if you like Universal and you like Disney, Disney is going to have to compete as well, and they have to do better. And then Universal has to come back and do better, and it's a win for us. But, yes,
yeah, well said, well said. Slimer, what are your thoughts? Overall closing thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Rising tide raises all ships. This is, this is like the late 90s, early 2000s all over again, when you had Animal Kingdom opening, Islands of Adventure opening, and then there are all sorts of new attractions coming to Hollywood Studios and in the Magic Kingdom. So, we're seeing a nice injection of capital into both Universal Studios and Disney World, and there are no winners except for the guests, right? This isn't like a Universal versus Disney thing. This is the customer wins thing, because now I get more of what I like when I go to these parks, and I'm going to, I'm going to be able to get more entertainment offerings for, slight price increases, but what I get is totally worth, the little more that I have to spend to enjoy these. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to that Lagoon Show. I'm going to try to be out there this summer to check it out, as well as the mega movie parade, of course. So we'll see. I think that once that sensational, once that thing drops, it's going to be the center of attention for Orlando. Which is why I think that, even though Disney's not probably too concerned about it, they also haven't announced a date for Tiana's Bayou Adventure opening here. And I think they were just waiting for the dates to be announced for this, because they already knew that these entertainment attractions are going to be coming to Universal Studios sometime this summer. Now they just need to figure out if they were going to sandwich it in between June 14th and July 3rd. Or if they're going to try to release it earlier, like let's say June 3rd, June 1st, which is like going to be like the first weekend of June, or even sooner. Because I think that the sooner they do it, the more publicity they can have focus on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So it only benefit them and exposure to that new IP. But we'll see. I mean, it's just going to be a stacked summer either way when it comes to new entertainment attractions.
Yeah, well said. Mr. Rubba, closing thoughts?
I found these announcements from Universal really exciting. I'm really excited for Universal and for theme park fans. I think it's gonna be really great. I think the two biggest things I'm excited for. Well, actually, no, the three things I'm excited for. It's pretty much all of it, but Donkey Kong, and then as well as the parade, and then the nighttime like water show. And then of course in the Harry Potter show too, but I've never seen that. Even here I've never seen it as well. But I'm pretty sure that would be awesome. So yeah, I think again it's a win-win all around for everybody. For the parks, for the guests, it's going to be super super cool. Back to what Simon was talking about with the Back to the Future possible if that was a coaster, right? Whether it's in that spot taking over that coaster or another spot, if Back to the Future was to be a coaster, I would like it to be more kind of story oriented. And what I mean is I would want for example, if the coasters look kind of like a a DeLorean, right? But I want a soundtrack in this thing. Okay?
Oh, you got to.
I need a soundtrack. I need like Doc Brown talking or something like that or whatever, right? But I need to be doing something. I just don't want to be in a coaster that's just called Back to the Future and I'm going on my own track.
No, you need Doc on there saying roads where we're going. We don't need roads.
But and it can be fast, but I mean, like I need the Back to the Future score in there while we're going around buildings or something like that. I need something kind of a bit more story-esque into that coaster, not just a regular coaster. But go on, Slimer.
Go ahead.
Oh, but other than that, yeah, no, I'm happy for Universal. Can't wait to see all the other new projects they have coming out with, with any other park or land, so that I see more mentioned possibly with the Legend of Zelda that they could be doing. So yeah, good on them. It's going to be a big thing for Florida, because Florida's going to have all this stuff with Universal and Disney. And a big fight over there, so it's going to be cool.
It's like that Godzilla movie. Let them fight.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
It's gonna be wild. Now, Mr. Webb, I'll start with you. You are feeling under the weather, so we do appreciate you joining us today, brother. I know you're not 100%, but hope you get well soon. And if you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on, OG, and it was awesome pleasure talking with all three of you gentlemen. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at webslinger760, Mr. Webba, and then you can also find me here on OG55.
There he is. And kitty corner diagonal to me is Slime Crime Easy. Slime Crime Easy. If you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
OG Mafia. So thank you so much again for having me on. I really appreciate these opportunities to actually talk with you guys. It gives my thumbs a break. But you can find me here on Orange Grove 55, or you can find me on X at Slime Square 84.
There he is. And last but certainly not least, Mr. C. Mordug. Thank you for joining us, brother. If you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media.
Yes, you can find me on X at Mr. Seymour Duck. And good news, the snake got banned.
Oh, it did? It did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, all right.
So now there's only one Seymour Duck, and he's the duck.
There it is. Perfect. Perfect. Well, since we did a whole Universal show,
it's been an honor serving with you all.
There we go. A little Optimus Prime to close us out. Thank you all so much for joining this episode of OG55. Talked all about Universal. Comment down below with everything on your mind about Epic Universe, Super Nintendo World, the Lagoon Show, the parade, the DreamWorks Land. There's so much going on with Universal right now. What does it mean for the resort down the road at Disney World? Do you agree with us? Competition is good. Do you not agree with us? We would love to hear from you. Comment down below. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55, and until the next time.